Yes, indeed. We're joined now by Mr. Femi Falana, a senior advocate of Nigeria as well. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Well, the VP in his statement did say that the position of the presidency about the EFCC chairman is that, yes, he will continue to remain in that position, whether or not the Red Chamber confirms him. Is this predicated on law? And take us through it.
With profound respect, I think we should move on, because what is required in the circumstance in which we have found ourselves is to go to court. Anybody who is dissatisfied with the position of the government on any issue. But if we are talking about law, we do not need to go to America or France, monarchical France. Here, the law is settled. When Malam Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, as he then was, the current emir of Kano, was sacked by President Jonathan, Chief Michael Zekome was a lawyer to the government, and he went to court to say, in spite of the provision of Section 11 of the Central Bank Act that requires 2/3 majority of the members of the Senate, if you were going to sack the governor, right? Chief Zekome said, no, the Constitution is higher. We have an executive president who can fire without reference to the Senate. That was in 2014. What has changed? We're still operating the same constitution. In the case of Boade Borua and the Attorney General of the Federation, the plaintiff went to court to say, Mr. President, the appointment of the Comptroller General of Customs, Colonel Hamid Ali, retired colonel, army officer, could not head the custom because by a 1985 gazette, the president is banned to appoint from the pool of comptrollers general, deputy comptrollers general, as must take one of them as the Comptroller General of Customs. The Federal High Court, in a judgment delivered in December last year, said no. By the combined effect of Sections 5 and 171 of the Constitution, the President can appoint whoever he likes, not necessarily from the Customs Service. In yet another case, I think that was in 2013, Festus Keyamo and the Attorney General of the Federation. Festus went to court to challenge the appointment of service chiefs without the endorsement of the National Assembly, not just the Senate alone, of the National Assembly. And the court upheld his position on the ground that Section 218 of the Constitution that empowers the President to appoint service chiefs equally provides that the appointment, promotion, and discipline of all members of the armed forces shall be in accordance with the law made by the National Assembly. And it was the contention of Mr. Festus Keyamo that by that reference, that was referenced by incorporation, the Armed Forces Act, Cap 20, Laws of the Federation 2004, had been incorporated by the Constitution, i.e., Section 18 of the Armed Forces Act requires the confirmation of the appointment of service chiefs by the National Assembly. This is the position of the law.
What do you make of the Vice President's comments when he said that he knows that there are some people in the Senate who support Magu's confirmation, some who do not, and some who are neutral? How has this statement impacted on this issue that we're looking at?
I'm not sure. I think that is the politics of it. But we're talking about the law. Of course, you are bound to have people disagree, but the majority apparently, voted against Magu. But that has not to do, again, contrary to the submission of my learned friend, Chief Michael Zekome, said, that has nothing to do with the acting capacity. What Mr. Magu cannot be, after the decision of the Senate, he cannot parade himself as the chairman executive chairman of EFCC.
No, he's not.
But he was not appointed. Mind you, he wasn't appointed under the EFCC Act as acting chairman. There's no provision for it under the EFCC Act. And nobody is saying that. He was appointed. Subject to, by the president appointed him in exercise of his powers under Section 171 and Section 11 of the Interpretation Act. Because the Constitution says, Section 320, that in the interpretation of this Constitution, right, the Interpretation Act shall be invoked when necessary.
So didn't the EFCC Act say his appointment is subject to confirmation by the Senate?
Yes. That's Section 2, subsection 3. Now, when you read that, along with Section 171 of the Constitution, one has to give place to the other. And the Constitution takes precedent over any other law. In fact, Section 2, subsection 3 has become inconsistent with Section 171 of the Constitution. And therefore, he cannot be invoked. My learned friend knows that. And that was what he did in the case of the CBN Act and the Constitution.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
The law hasn't changed.
We'll come back to that in just a moment. Join us again.